If you had asked me the few years ago what love looked like, I would have told you it looked like Daniel. He was everything I thought I wanted in a man. Charming, attentive, ambitious, the kind of guy who remembered the little things, like how I take my coffee or the way I always hated sitting with my back to the door at restaurants. We met in the most ordinary way, yet somehow it felt extraordinary. It was a humid summer evening, the type where the air sticks to your skin and every sound seems sharper. A mutual friend was hosting a backyard barbecue. The smell of charred burgers mixed with the laughter of strangers I barely knew. I wasn't planning on going, but something inside me said, "Why not?" That "why not" turned into the night that changed everything. Daniel was standing near the grill, sleeves rolled up, talking animatedly about something I couldn't quite hear. But I noticed him right away. He had this energy about him, like the world bent a little when he walked into a room. Our eyes locked for just a second, and he didn't look away like most people do. He walked straight up, introduced himself with a grin, and cracked a joke about how terrible the host was at grilling. I laughed, and just like that, the spark lit. Our first date wasn't fancy. No five-star restaurant, no roses, nothing staged. He picked me up in his beat-up Jeep, top down, music blasting. We drove down to the coast, the wind tangling my hair, the salty air hitting my skin. He parked by the water, and we sat on the hood, watching the sun dip into the horizon. We talked about everything, our childhoods, our dreams, the things that scared us most. He told me he wanted to start his own business one day, something that would make his family proud. His voice was full of passion, and I believed every word. From that night on, we were inseparable. Every weekend turned into an adventure. Hiking trails, road trips, late-night diner runs where we shared milkshakes and fries. Even the small, ordinary moments felt magical, like grocery shopping or folding laundry. My friends teased me, saying, "You've got that look, you're in deep." And they were right. We eventually moved in together. Our apartment was tiny, barely enough room to fit both of us comfortably, but it was ours. We filled the walls with mismatched photos from trips, ticket stubs from concerts, notes scribbled on sticky pads. He'd leave me little surprises, flowers on the counter, takeout after a long day, a playlist waiting on my phone. For a while, life was beautiful. And then, slowly, things shifted. At first it was subtle. Daniel started staying late at work more often. He brushed it off, saying he was busy with projects that his boss was demanding. I didn't question it. I trusted him. But then came the new cologne. The scent lingered on his clothes when he got home. Unfamiliar, sharp, not one I had ever bought him. Then came the phone. His phone, which used to sit freely on the couch, the counter, the nightstand, was suddenly glued to him. He'd turn it face down, put it on silent, and when it buzzed, he'd excuse himself to take the call in another room. At night, when I asked about his day, his answers grew shorter. The conversations that once lasted hours dwindled into silence. I told myself it was just stress, that I was imagining things. I clung to the idea of the man I fell in love with. But the cracks in forever have a way of spreading. The turning point came one night when he didn't come home. I stayed up until 3 a.m., pacing, calling his phone over and over, only to get voicemail. When he finally stumbled in the next morning, he smelled faintly of alcohol and gave me some excuse about crashing at a buddy's place. His story was shaky, but I wanted so badly to believe him that I nodded, even though something inside me screamed that he was lying. That was the moment I knew deep down. The man I trusted, the man I built a life with, was hiding something. But here's the thing. Once you open your eyes to the truth, you can't close them again. I tried to push my doubts aside, but the truth has a way of clawing to the surface no matter how tightly you try to bury it. The night he claimed to have crashed at a buddy's place replayed over and over in my mind. His tone, the way his eyes didn't quite meet mine, the subtle defensiveness when I asked too many questions. It all gnawed at me. And then came the lipstick. It wasn't on his collar like in the movies. No, Daniel was more careful than that. But one evening, as I tossed his work shirt into the hamper, I noticed a faint smear, rose-colored, barely there, on the inside of the cuff. At first, I told myself it was nothing, maybe a stain, maybe ink. But when I lifted it closer, my stomach sank. I never wore that shade. The doubts I had been suppressing exploded into panic. I didn't want to be that girlfriend who snoops, who invades privacy. But when trust feels like it's slipping through your fingers, desperation takes over. So one night, while he showered, I grabbed his phone. The lock screen that used to be a picture of us had been replaced by something generic, just a mountain landscape. Already my chest tightened. But then, by some cruel twist of fate, or maybe divine justice, the passcode he thought was so clever was still the same. Our anniversary date. My hands shook as I opened his messages. At first, it looked normal, conversations with coworkers, group chats with friends. But then, I saw a name I didn't recognize. Sophie. The thread was buried, but I opened it. And what I found shattered me. Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you. Next weekend? Same place? I miss your touch. Photo after photo, message after message. The words blurred as tears filled my eyes. I scrolled back weeks, then months, realizing this wasn't new. He hadn't just slipped up once. He'd been living a double life, feeding me lies while giving someone else the intimacy I thought was mine alone. I sat frozen, phone in hand, the sound of the shower still running in the background. My mind raced. Every late night, every excuse, every cold shoulder suddenly made sense. It wasn't work. It wasn't stress. It was her. By the time he walked out, towel around his waist, I was trembling with rage and heartbreak. "Who is Sophie?" I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. For a split second, panic flashed in his eyes. But then, like the liar he was, he recovered. "What are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb, Daniel. I saw the messages." His jaw clenched, his entire body stiffening. "You went through my phone?" The audacity of that question nearly broke me. "You've been cheating on me for months, and you're mad that I found out?" He opened his mouth, closed it, then finally muttered, "It didn't mean anything." Those words, those 4 pathetic words, sliced deeper than any confession. It didn't mean anything? To him, maybe. But to me, it meant everything. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. Not then. Instead, I felt something colder settle over me. A quiet, sharp clarity. This man I had loved, trusted, built a life with, had chosen to betray me. And while part of me wanted to collapse, another part, the stronger part, was already calculating. Because if Daniel thought he could break me and walk away unscathed, he was dead wrong. This wasn't just going to end with me heartbroken. No. He was going to regret ever underestimating me. And that night, as he slept peacefully beside me, oblivious, I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, formulating a plan for revenge. The morning after I confronted Daniel, things felt off. He woke up acting as if nothing had happened. He kissed my forehead, made coffee, and scrolled through his phone like his little world hadn't just shattered mine. That was Daniel, charming, smug, always ready to sweep things under the rug. He thought if he downplayed it long enough, I'd eventually let it go. And here's the thing. On the outside, I did. I smiled when he told me he was going out with the guys. I nodded when he swore work was just crazy busy. I laughed at his jokes, cooked dinner, even let him hold me at night. But inside, I was ice. The old me, the trusting girlfriend who believed every excuse, was gone. In her place was someone far more dangerous, someone calculating, because I realized something important that morning. Daniel wasn't going to stop. He wasn't going to suddenly wake up and be faithful. Men like him rarely do. No, he'd keep lying, keep sneaking around, keep playing both sides until I was drained of love and self-respect. So, if he was going to play games, then so was I. Only my game would be one he'd never forget. My first move was subtle. I stopped questioning him. I stopped asking where he was going or who he was texting. I let him believe I was blind again. That false sense of security was the perfect cover for what I was really doing, gathering evidence. While he showered, I backed up his messages to my laptop. Screenshots of texts, photos, even voice notes he had sent her. Every detail I saved. I wasn't just building a case, I was building his nightmare. But revenge isn't just about catching someone in a lie. It's about hitting them where it hurts most. And with Daniel, I knew exactly where that was. See, Daniel cared about two things above all else: his reputation, his money. Destroy those, and I'd destroy him. So, I started small. I reached out to Sophie, not as myself, of course. I made a fake social media account, one that looked believable enough, and started following her. I studied her posts, her habits, her style. And soon, I knew more about her than Daniel probably did. She worked at a boutique, always tagged her favorite coffee shop, and had this habit of posting cryptic love quotes late at night. Cute, predictable, vulnerable. I wasn't going to confront her directly, not yet. That would be sloppy. No, my revenge wasn't about screaming matches or catfights. Revenge wasn't just about making him suffer. It was about reclaiming my power. For months, he had made me feel small, unworthy, not enough. Now, every step of my plan reminded me I was stronger than he ever imagined. One night, lying beside him while he snored, I whispered to myself, "You have no idea what's coming." And I meant it. Because when I was done, Daniel wasn't just going to lose me. He was going to lose everything. The day of reckoning didn't arrive all at once. It came in quiet, carefully chosen steps. I picked a Saturday night. Daniel thought he was going to dinner with the guys. I smiled, kissed him on the cheek, and waved him out the door. But I knew exactly where he was headed. He wasn't meeting the guys, he was meeting her. And I was ready. See, I had been laying the groundwork for weeks. Screenshots, bank statements, receipts, all tucked neatly into a folder I labeled Freedom. But my favorite piece of evidence? A little surprise I had arranged at his favorite restaurant. Because while Daniel thought he was charming Sophie with his rehearsed lies, I had already called ahead, booked a table under his name, and requested something very special. When he walked in, holding Sophie's hand, ready to impress her with wine and candlelight, there I was, sitting at the reserved table, calm, confident, smiling. You should have seen his face. Pale, wide-eyed, like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. "Oh, don't stop on my account," I said sweetly. "Go ahead. Sit." Sophie froze, her hand slipping from his. She looked between us, confusion written all over her face. And that's when I pulled out the folder. "Let me introduce you to Daniel," I told her. "The man who's been telling us both the same lies. The man who thinks loyalty is optional. The man who spends more time sneaking around than being honest with either of us." I laid the photos and messages out like cards on the table. Sophie's eyes widened as she saw her own words staring back at her. Daniel stammered, reaching for excuses, but it was useless. Every receipt, every screenshot, every "I miss you" he sent while sitting beside me. It was all there. For the first time, he had nothing to say. And that silence? That was victory. But I wasn't done. No, this was just the public unveiling. The real blow came later. See? Daniel loved his reputation. Mr. Charming. Mr. Reliable. The guy everyone thought had it all together. So, after that dinner, I made sure his carefully crafted image crumbled. I sent copies of those receipts to his boss. Turns out, business expenses don't cover hotel rooms with mistresses. I left screenshots with a few of his closest friends, the ones who always bragged about how lucky he was to have me. And finally, I walked away. Without screaming, without begging, without shedding another tear in front of him. That was the part he didn't expect, because men like Daniel thrive on drama. They want you broken, desperate, chasing after them. But I gave him nothing, just silence, just absence. And if you've ever wanted to watch a man unravel, let me tell you, silence is louder than any revenge speech. Days turned into weeks. He called, he texted. He showed up at my door with flowers, promises, apologies dripping from his lips. But I had already blocked his number, packed my things, and started fresh somewhere he couldn't reach me. Meanwhile, Sophie? She dumped him too. No one wants to be the other woman when the truth is laid bare. And Daniel? He was left alone, without me, without her, without his job, and without the shiny little image he worked so hard to protect. Now, don't get me wrong, revenge didn't erase the pain. It didn't magically undo the nights I cried myself to sleep, or the moments I questioned my worth. But it did give me something priceless. Closure. Because for the first time, the power was mine. I wasn't the girl waiting by the phone. I wasn't the woman making excuses for his lies. I was the storm that ended his games. And I walked away without looking back. And if you're listening to this, maybe you've been where I was. Maybe you've had your heart broken, your trust shattered, your soul bruised by someone who didn't value it. If so, remember this. You don't need to scream to be powerful. You don't need to fight dirty to win. Sometimes the sweetest revenge is silence. Sometimes it's leaving them to face the wreckage of their own choices while you move forward. Because here's the truth. People like Daniel destroy themselves. All you have to do is step aside and let them. And that's exactly what I did.